Let me set the quorum today. I know this is a masterclass talk. And the whole idea behind the masterclass is people who have accepted to make this part of their life. You see, there's two types of learning. You learn and then it ends. That's usually a skill. That's usually an occupation. But there is also another learning. That's what we call the disciple. It is a lifetime learning. So being part of the master class is Master's way of persuading people to stick to this learning as how they live by. It's not you learn, you end, and you live. You live to learn, you learn, and you live. And the next thing is why this has been made a recording is this is a month of silence for Master because I'm holding the Discipline 4. And this lecture is going to be directed to a lot of the students of the Discipline 4, but also it will be applicable for the rest of you. One of the things I would like all of you to be able to do independently is to take many silent retreats. Let me explain. That you take some time off, you go and sit alone with you. I heard, I'm not sure how accurate it is, that Bill Gates, that's part of his ritual. He has some cottage somewhere and he goes there and be alone. That's why he reads, he studies, he thinks things through. For most people's lifestyle, that is not included. We included holidays, we included many things, but we never included time for ourselves. More so for the students that are doing Discipline 4. And the Discipline 4, even though the official lesson is running till end of this month, and next month we will do some follow-up. But I would like you to see whether you can persuade yourself to hold yourself in this space for 3 months, which means up to January. And part of the process, not just the learning, part of the process is to go and be quiet with yourself, to go and give some space for yourself. For people who can access the Brahmashri Ashram in Sweden, in Stockholm, use it. Go, sit quietly, especially when you're doing the program. It will be really, really helpful. Now, having said that, let's go into today's exploration. And the exploration today is about this subject. Have you given yourself a break? Have you given yourself time to recover? Have you given yourself time to rejuvenate? Have you given yourself time in which the mind is not so much needed? Have you allowed yourself the space to simply be with you? First, most people are incredibly uncomfortable in doing this. Even when you're at home, if you're alone, you'll switch on the television. Or you have a company. Nothing wrong with it, but eventually there becomes a way you escape you. And if you have lived a life of escaping you, confronting you can be a bit traumatizing, can be a bit uncomfortable. So the first process is get used to learning how to be with you until you know the time has come for you to be with you, the time you have come to sense you. You see, Master grew up in a fishing village, so generally people fish. And if you've ever gotten to know fishermen, even though there is an objective, they're going out there to catch a fish, but in time they all learn to be alone, learn to be silent, learn to be themselves. And usually they are in a very nice temperament, people. Usually. People who fish for long periods of time. I don't think the fishing is the point. I think the point was they found an excuse to go be with them. Because it doesn't make sense spending hundreds of dollars to go fishing when you catch a $20 fish. Economically, it doesn't make sense. But I think it's an excuse. Sometimes I think golf is that for some people. Many things where they need to go and be with themselves. And the higher you go in your demand, the higher you go when you have to perform, the higher you go when more is needed out of you, the more this demand. They call it downtime. Once it happened, Master was speaking in a circuit, and I shared a stage with Patch Adam, the speaker, the one they made the movie of. Interesting guy. High performer, high intensity. But the one that was handling him told me his downtime is incredible. He said he spent days sometimes just being alone. And I said, good, that's what meditation is. Two aspects to life: performance. Next aspect is maintenance. If you have a high power car, if you have ever owned any good cars, you'll always ask, how's the maintenance? How much does it take? A simple car does not require that much maintenance. A high-end car, when you expect great performance from it, it has a lot of downtime. I know you grew up in a surrounding where most people did not consider this. They even label it wrong. They thought you're lazy. Most people that you have been exposed to, and remember, whoever you are exposed to, you are learning, There are two types of learning. You learn reading, understanding, exploring. There's another learning just by watching. If you go to Rome, you become a Roman, they say. You learn what everybody does. It is a kind of a biological imprint. Then it becomes uncomfortable not to do that. This is the collective conditioning. No matter where you are, your surrounding immerses you. It's not just a conscious learning, it's a biological learning. And part of the biological learning most people have gone through is spending time with themselves is wrong. And if at all they spend time with themselves, then they become meditators and they're seeking God and enlightenment, and that goes into a whole other thing. No, just a simple thing. I need some space for myself. I need to be with myself. I need to sit with myself. I must give myself time to process. I must give myself time to wake up, to rejuvenate. That is why most people start living minimally or live by throwing energy out. Getting drunk, sex, all of it is throw the energy out. Because when there is no energy, then there is no demand either. Very few people can sit full of energy and be awake, because once you sit in full of energy, you have to pay attention to you. And when I say pay attention to you, you're not thinking, you're not doing anything, just being with you. You understand? It's not, if somebody is quiet, and so what are you doing? Say, I'm just being quiet. Sounds not right. People say, I'm thinking about something. No. This is not about thinking. This is about the attention falling back to you, being with you. You need your attention. You need your energy to turn inward. That's the meaning of turning inward. You need to hold yourself. And when you're doing this work, there's always many aspects to this. So one aspect is the intellectual aspect, the inquiry. The next aspect is the energetic aspect. Another most important aspect is sit, do nothing for long periods of time. Sit and be with yourself. Remember, your employer might not be happy with it. The taskmaster don't want you to, because they want you to be productive. So there is a lot of negative connotation on this. The learning is to learn to detach within yourself, that you need some time out. You need to be with you. You need just to chill, I suppose. And don't even call it meditation, but it will become meditation. It becomes meditation when there is a demand to perform and you're preparing yourself. It becomes meditation. In the beginning, it's just resting. When this rest meets a demand, meditation happens. When this rested state meets a demand, meditation happens. And meditation is the readiness to meet that task. You understand? Whenever there is a demand, life demands you to be this, that, and the other. The demand to rejuvenate yourself is there. The demand to become so awake you can meet that demand, that meeting the demand of meeting the demand becomes meditation. Today, I would like you to try this exercise. Sit, be silent, look around, pay attention to your life's demand. Go systematically. What is your life demand? You need to be richer, you need to be bigger, you need to do more, you can be more, whatever the demand may be. First, identify the demand. Next, identify the recuperation you must go through in order to meet that demand. Or the awakening you must go through in order to meet that demand. It's like this, If you've ever done deadlifting, which is bodybuilding terminology, we lift as heavy as we can. We usually prepare ourselves. We walk up and down, look at it, do some test lift, and become very quiet. That fraction of a moment when you're quiet, you're turning within, and you're allowing your system to wake up to the yes and no to do the performance, and then they lift it. Even though in weightlifting, you just need a few seconds. But for your entire life, you may need more than that. So today, first pay attention to your demand. Next, pay attention to the demand over you. The demand of how you should be. And give yourself some space to meet it. So today, sit, rest, and prepare the system that it may rejuvenate, become awake to meet the demand at hand. When there is no demand, just sit and simply be in delight. You see? It's a cycle. No? There's a demand, you turn in, you meet the inner demand, you meet the demand, and then you rest. Once you are rested, another demand comes, then you meet the inner demand, you meet the outward demand, and then you rest. Very interesting, the Christians say God worked for 6 days, created the earth, and on 7th day he rested. I think it's a misunderstanding. It's nothing but the energetic cycle of you, the 6th chakra and the 7th. 7th is when the demand has been met and Jayam has been lived, then there is a rest. Only in that rest a higher demand comes. Then again the cycle happens. The demand, then the inner demand. When you meet the inner demand, once you achieve the inner demand, then there is a rest. Today, see whether you can understand this cycle. Begin this way. Look around, see things as they are, establish the 3 points. And become aware of the demand at hand. What is your life demanding? If you're a mother, you're an employee, whatever the demand may be. And what is that demand demanding you to be? Now forget about the demand. Now what is the demand in you? And see whether you can meet that inner demand. And the final part of this meditation, celebrate. Celebration is nothing but the acceptance of Jayam. All celebration is part of victory. You had an outward demand, you met the demand inward. In meeting the inward demand, you conquer the outward demand. Through that, you find a rest that is celebration. Now, to your depth of understanding, try to do this. And if there is no demand, learn in that rested state. Just sit and be. Sitting together. You see, this is part of Master's global effort, Just this understanding I want to introduce to the whole world. The problem is they made it meditation, they made it religious, they made it spiritual, then it became something else. This is just human. Breathing, if you give it to a spiritual flow, he'll make it spiritual. Breathing is just human. It's just what is happening naturally. Because when you use the label of spiritual, all kinds of unnatural demands are there. Somebody thinks I'm spiritual, and once I ordered a coffee, he was very upset. I thought you're a spiritual man. Why are you drinking coffee? I said, you should have known some of my masters. They drink vodka. Right? This is purely you meeting you without an ideology placed on you. It's just how your biology operates or your energetic operates. Now give it a try today. And for the students who are doing the 4th discipline, see whether this month can be dedicated to this understanding. That you can live this 24/7. Give it a try.